Guys, welcome back to Sweet and Sour Soccer. Before I get into the video today, I just want to do a massive thank you. We set the target of 1,250 subs before Christmas. And you know what? Looks like Christmas came early for us. You guys have absolutely smashed that target for us. We've already got there. And I think when I last checked, we've actually got 1,260. So massive thank you to everyone that subscribed. Guys, we want to keep going. So if you're new here, make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe to the channel. Today, we're going to be talking about Tottenham Hotspurs. Of course, Conte, it's going to be his first transfer window with the club, and he's probably going to be wanting to come in and make some changes. And there's been plenty of rumours going around. It is that time of the year, isn't it, where transfer rumours start to come round. So what I'm going to do, guys, if you did watch the Newcastle video that I actually did, a similar, same format, I'm going to bring up my screen now to show you guys. And of course, you get to see a little snippet of the first player that I'm going to be speaking about briefly soon. So anyway, yeah, so what we're going to be talking about is, as you can see there, we've got good deal, bad deal, and will it happen? That's three things we're going to be covering. I've got seven players today. Some of those that will be leaving Spurs potentially, and some, more importantly for Spurs fans, probably those that will be coming into the club. So firstly, let's start with someone that might be coming into the club. Adama Traore, 25 years old, obviously a winger for my club that I actually support, Wolverhampton Wanderers. Only 18 months left on his contract. Interestingly, Spurs were linked with Adama in the summer. It was believed that Wolves actually turned down a £40 million bid, actually, but that was never confirmed whether that was actually from Spurs. With only 18 months left on his contract, though, he's probably going to go for a lot less, and it would probably be around the fee of 25 million now that Foster and Wolves owners would be willing to accept. Not really entertaining new contract talks with Wolves. And this would be an interesting one for Tottenham because apparently they're still interested in him. It's an interesting one talking about Adama Traore. Would it be good for him? I think it probably it would be good for him. Start on whether it be good for him. Yes, I think it would be good for him as a player. Things have got a bit stale at Wolves. I think his career has kind of plateaued. And more importantly, with Wolves, we've got Pedro Neto coming back. There's probably not a spot for him in the side. And he has actually been struggling regardless of that to actually get into the first team, only having limited minutes. Would it be good for Tottenham? And this is one which I've been watching Adama Traore for nearly 2.5 years now. And I still can't figure it out whether I love him or whether he's a good footballer or not at times. Because if he had an end product, he would be one of the best players in the world. But unfortunately, he's too inconsistent. But perhaps he could get back to that form that we saw about 1.5 years ago with Wolves. Of course, he had that one game where he went absolutely mental against Man City, scoring 2 goals. And that could potentially work out for Spurs if they've got that version of Adama Traore with new motivation. And will it happen? I've actually gone for about 80% chance here. There's a winger that Spurs might be looking to move on potentially, which has come out. I'll speak about that a bit later on. So this one is one to watch. I feel this could be a good deal for Spurs. They might go in for it. Obviously, we know Daniel Levy loves a good deal. Well, one player that could be heading out, Dele Alli, 25 as well, attacking mid. And transfer market. So I've used the transfer market of transfermarket.com. They've gone for 27 million. And I don't know with Dele Alli now. This is one that's really confusing for me. How much is Dele Alli worth? Guys, let me know in the comments with that one. How much would you value Dele Alli at now in the market? Because I honestly don't know. 27 million, my first thought was, it seems a little steep, but I don't know what I'd price him at. But I do feel that, it would be good for the club to move him on. Of course, he's only had one start under Conte. Doesn't look to be in favour. And of course, the most embarrassing point of his career and probably Tottenham's recent history was that 1-0 loss to Mora, where he actually come out brought off in the 53rd minute. I think it would be good for Dele Alli too to really, reignite his career elsewhere. Of course, there might be potential suitors. So I've actually gone for an 80% chance of this happening. Whether that'll be a loan move or, a transfer, who knows? But I think Tottenham would prefer to move him on for the money. But if not, a loan move has been touted. And, you know, with Newcastle having their money, could that be a potential link? I'm sure there'll be other clubs interested still in Dele Alli as well. And moving on to another player that could come in, Dusan Vlahovic. I've absolutely butchered that. That is terrible. But he is a 21. He's 21. He's a striker, and at the moment he's absolutely tearing up Serie A. He's actually scored 30 goals in the calendar year. Only the third player in Serie A history to actually do that, and he's currently top goal scorer in Serie A. So there's no surprise there that he comes with that 60 million expected transfer fee. Having said that, Fiorentina, you know, the Italian side, they might be willing to sell for a bit less. And some good news, actually, regarding this transfer is that Juve are interested, but the president of Fiorentina has come out and said they would prefer to sell to a Premier League club. Now, I think this would be a brilliant move for Tottenham. You know, if you could get in a young, hungry striker, especially with what's going on with Harry Kane at the moment, not performing, only one goal this season in the league, of course. And, you know, also potentially looking to move on. We don't really know what's going to happen there, do we? For the player, though, maybe it might be a good move for him. And the only reason I say this is at the moment you feel he would be playing second fiddle to Harry Kane. And there is a lot of other clubs interested. And there's two other Premier League clubs. Manchester City are apparently looking at him. Of course, they've still not got a natural striker really to play. They're playing that false nine. And another club that are looking for him is Arsenal. And for that reason, I've said there's only a 30% chance of that happening because Manchester City and Arsenal Arsenal especially, they're absolutely desperate for a striker. And would he be a bit more tempted with you know, going to a club where he really feels that he could start? Maybe at Spurs, it'd be hard to get in front of Harry Kane. At the moment, it wouldn't be that hard to get in front of Lacazette, Aubameyang, who's been stripped of his captaincy today, and Eddie Nketiah. So that could be a bit of a North London derby battle coming in in January. So watch out for that one. Moving on to another player that could leave the club, Steven Bergwijn, 24 years old, winger. Transfer market value now of 20 million. That's what transfer market is saying. Of course, he joined the club for 27 million. And this is a bit of a strange transfer, wasn't it, really? You really thought maybe after the Vincent Janssen transfer where Spurs actually lost 9 million on, I think it was 11 million, sorry, on that transfer, that they might be a bit wary of going back into the Dutch league. Of course, they did 2 years ago, went for Steven Bergwijn. It's not really worked out for him, has it? Currently, you know, he's played 42 Premier League games. Depending on when you've watched this, that might be 43. And at the moment, he's got more yellow cards. It's 5 yellow cards and only 4 Premier League goals in that time. Would it be a good one for the club? And the only reason I've said maybe is because if he's happy to play it like as a backup winger, then I don't know what you'd get for him at the moment. I mean, maybe 20 million, and that's a big loss. That's still at least a 7 million loss, and that's without the add-ons that Spurs might have to play. I think it would be a good move for the player. It feels like Steven Bergwijn might be one of those, like a bit like Memphis Depay, who really doesn't suit the Premier League. And then in 4 or 5 years' time, we'll be looking at him doing well, maybe in a Champions League or maybe in another league going, oh, why didn't he tear it up in the Prem? But sometimes, you know, players can't adjust to the fast pace of the Premier League and more importantly, the physicality as well. I've put this as a 40% chance of happening because, as we know, Daniel Levy likes to get the best deal. And I'm not really sure if he'll be able to do that at the moment with Bergwijn's stock being so low and having to take a loss. Another player that Spurs might be looking to bring in, another striker, Andre Belotti. Now, you might see here that I've put expected transfer fee of either 15 million or 3, which you might be thinking, what on earth that's about? Well, what that is about is, of course, he only has 6 months left on his contract, and it is rumoured that, you know, Spurs might be going in for him, trying to get him on a free transfer. But there also is the possibility that they act early. Conte's going to want some options in that side, trying to get them a Champions League place. And if Spurs played a £15 million fee, he did well, and that got them into the Champions League. It'd be worth paying an early fee of that nature to, you know, get the striker in. The president says it doesn't look like he's going to be signing a new deal either. So for the club, I think this would be a great deal. I really do. I think, you know, again, as a back, you potentially could use him as a second striker with Kane. That would be an option, and he'd also give Kane a good battle. It'd be good for the player as well. I imagine it'd be a really good payday increase for him, as well as getting to battle in the Premier League. And let's face it, Spurs aren't that far off, really, those Champions League places, especially if they win their 2 games in hand. And with Antonio Conte, I really don't think you can rule Spurs out. Will it happen? I've gone for a high percentage here, 75%. I really do think this has potential to happen. So watch out for that one. I wanted to cover another player potentially coming in. I've gone for Anthony Martial. Obviously 26 years old, and has recently come out and said that he wants to leave. He did that through his agent. And there's been a bit of talk today where, you know, obviously the new Man United manager, Ralph Rangnick, has said, look, if he wants to leave, he can come and tell me. But this is almost one that there's been little rumours of where he might go. But I feel like this would be a really good deal for Spurs. Look, would it be good for the club and would it be good for the player? I've said absolutely for both. Now, the advantage of this is Anthony Martial. Of course, he can play as a striker, but he can also play as a winger as well. So it means that you've kind of ticked 2 boxes there, because you can keep playing Harry Kane, but if Harry Kane does pick up an injury, then you've got Martial that can step into that striker position. But on a usual basis, he can also play on that right wing, naturally right-footed. He can also play on the left, but of course that is Son's position. Will it happen? And that's an interesting one, because this is one where I've kind of touted it as a bit of one to watch out for. The answer to that is who knows. I think it's an interesting one to watch out for. But to be honest, would Man United sell to a rival in the January window when they're both going to be really competing for that 4th place spot? Maybe not, but potentially one to watch out for in the summer. This could be a deal that Spurs go for. And finally, one more player that Spurs might look to move on to build up those transfer funds to bring in a couple of those players that I've spoke about earlier on. Matt Doherty, I mean, it's been a really hard time for him, hasn't it, since joining from Wolves? I remember when he did sign for Spurs, I thought, wow, what a signing. But then he was played in a back 4, which Mourinho tried to do, which was never really his style. And he's never really got to terms with the way Spurs have played, really. And I don't think he's a player that really suits Spurs. So this is a pretty simple one, really. It'd be good for the club to move him on. Transfer Market have actually said that, you know, he's worth 14.4 million. I think that is a very kind valuation, to be honest. I don't think Spurs would get anywhere near that in today's market, but to move some of that wage bill off, and who knows, I suppose you could still get around 10 million for him. So they might get the majority of the money that they did, they paid to sign him. And will it happen? I think this is going to be an interesting one, because it's going to depend if they want to use him as cover. But at the moment, he really is not doing anything. And he's one of those players as well that has looked terrible even in the Conference League. So I think it's got a 60% chance of happening. I think it's going to be one of those that might happen later on in the transfer window. So really one to watch out for. Guys, that has been the video. As I say, massive thank you for the 1,250 subs, but we want to keep growing. So make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. And hopefully we shall see you on the next video. Goodbye.